So, in the live game right now, we have a bunch of monsters, ranged monsters, that have this ability to back off from you. And so let's look at how that works right now with these archers. When they want to back off from you, they have to turn around and put their backs to the player and then reposition themselves and then turn back around and pick up their bows. And it makes them feel a little dumb. It makes them a little less threatening. It also means that they kind of don't really respect you as a player. I mean, they're turning their backs to you. How big of a threat are you, right? So we decided we could make an improvement here. And we've got a new capability that we call the back pedal. So looking at these same archers, as the player approaches them, they want to back off. But now they can just back up without changing direction. They maintain their eyesight is focused on the player, they're respecting the player, and they're a lot more threatening. It's an example of a really simple change that also affects how you feel about that monster. Now I want to head over to the Blood Marsh again and take a closer look at the Brute and Boggets. So a lot of monsters in the game can summon guys and throw them at you. But the Brute literally does this. When he summons Boggets onto the field, he immediately throws them right at you. This makes him really aggressive as a summoner, which is usually not the case. But it also underscores the savage relationship between Brutes and Boggets, which is a great reflection of life in the Blood Marsh. And we really like the fact that they're interacting. This is really something different for us. So we thought maybe there's an opportunity to do more with that idea. So I'd like to introduce the Terror Bat. Now the Terror Bat has a really cool behavior. He can pick up Boggets, raise them into the air, give them a rabid bite, and transform them into Brutes. And the Brutes can then spawn more Boggets. Boggets can get turned back into Brutes by bats. This has a real interesting effect on gameplay. It creates a vicious circle. When you walk on screen and you see, oh, hey, there's a Brute right there, I gotta worry about that Brute, but then here comes a bat. Uh-oh, what's gonna happen? He's gonna make more Brutes, he's gonna make more Boggets. You gotta manage that stuff right away. Because we love you. All right, this is my favorite part, how they die. I think a lot about how monsters die, not just because we're weird. Well, maybe some of us. It's really important in a game where monsters live to die. Death becomes really critical, in fact. It's the culmination of your effort. It's what you're doing, you know, right? It's what they're there for. It's when you get your loot, right? It's really important. And the thing I think that is easy to miss is that it's a great opportunity to tell some story, either about that monster or about something in the world that's going on, or even it's a great opportunity to draw the player further into the game world. And I have an example of that in the Realm Walker. Now, the Realm Walker is a giant beast that you can find in the Forgotten Battlefields. And he's guarding a portal that he carries around on his head. And he uses that portal as a weapon against the player by spawning in monsters from another realm. And spoiler alert here, you get to kill him, right? And when you do, he's just gonna overload and a bunch of energy and explode, because we like to blow things up. And he loses control of that portal, and you can jump into it, and then go to that realm where those monsters were coming from. Really big spiders. Okay, here's another example from the Blood Marsh. We looked at trappers earlier, but what you might not have realized is, like, what a bunch of jerks these guys are. Here they are, they're in this guard tower, they're all holed up, they're super confident, they're dropping traps on you, they're peppering you with darts. They think they've got it made. It's not really the case. You're gonna take them out. You're gonna deliver some justice to these guys. But not any kind of justice will do. We want some poetic justice for something like this, right? So when you take the tower down, they get dismembered by their own traps in a giant bloody mess. Let's watch that. Yeah. Okay, the last thing I want to focus on today is how important it is that we make monsters that you can understand. We want monsters that you can relate to. It makes them so much more interesting to kill when you can understand them and you know what they are. So I've got some examples of some behaviors that we give monsters to help you understand them. And here is a great rag to riches story in a monster that we call the Exorcist. You can find this guy in Westmarch. He's one of Malthael's crew. Now, when we first started working on this guy, we got this idea, well, what if he just dropped like a bunch of evil stuff on the ground that would chase you, and your job was run away from it. And it worked okay, but we think if you're gonna run away from something in a Diablo game, you should understand what it is. It should be familiar to you. You should get it. You should see why it's dangerous. And this just wasn't hitting it. It was just too abstract. So we took this guy back to the drawing board. Let's give him some new abilities, something that you can really get. So now he charges himself up into a being of ultimate lightning power and blasts you with lightning energy. And the reason why this works so much better is because you completely get this idea. This guy, he's bristling with energy. You get that dark skeleton in there, which is a Diablo kind of thing, right? And then the lightning is something that everybody understands. That's a monster that might be worth your time, might be worth running away from. All right. So here we have the Westmarch Hound, another monster that you can find in your souls. Yeah. We looked at him and he looks like a bulldog, so what should he do? Right? He should do things like a bulldog does. And they like to chew on stuff. Right? So we thought, well, what if he treats the player like a chew toy? And when he gets done with you, you're like covered in dog slobber and it's really gross. But here's the thing. That's not the only dog behavior we thought of. Let's see what happens when the Westmarch Hound kills the player. Oh my God, we gotta see that again. One more time.